Hello guys on YouTube today. How are you guys today? Well, I want to talk to you guys about electrical books here. I would recommend you guys pick up some electrical books like at your local library or your local Lowe's or Home Depot stores or Walmart stores and stuff like that. You can also pick up a Stanley electrical book and a Black & Decker electrical book. But if you guys are new to this, I would recommend going to your local library to pick up a couple electrical books that way. By the way, I've been doing electrical for many years, guys. I know what I'm kind of doing with my electrical kind of stuff when I build lamps or I build plugs and that kind of stuff. But the electrical books really do help you guys on what the right way to wire up your plugs and stuff like that as well. You don't want to reverse your purity on your plugs, then you have it kind of backwards and stuff and it won't work right. Alright, let's go ahead and jump into the one of my books here. I can show you some of the pages of my Black & Decker electrical book. By the way, this one's a pretty old book. I'm not gonna kind of bore you guys, but you know, there's just some of the electrical ways you can do things and kind of stuff like that. I'm just gonna skip over the book. You know, it's a very long book. It's a pretty nice electrical book. I would highly recommend picking up electrical book. These will help you on your electrical needs. Let's go ahead and jump into my Stanley updated electrical book from 2008, by the way. This does the same thing like my own book, Black & Decker. These are two great books to use to actually do what you want to do with electrical and stuff. This tells you some of the upgraded stuff. I will eventually sit down and show you all the words and pictures and stuff in these two books. But they are a very good help for your electrical needs when you are going to be doing any type of home wiring or home electrical. Let's go ahead and get my standard 15 amp outlet here. It's just a standard labeled outlet here, a home use outlet. You notice this one's your hot side, this is your ground, this is your neutral side. That's your go back feed to your panel and stuff. There's that hot side, and it only has one ground on it, by the way. These are pretty nice plugs as well. Here we have same thing. This is just a standard 14 gauge home use wire. You see you have both your hot, your neutral, and your bare copper wire inside this one sleeve. By the way, this is only rated at certain type of uses. I would say bedrooms, bath, and all and stuff. This cable can handle up to at least about a 15 amp circuit. Let's go ahead and go on to my stranded cable here. The stranded cable, by the way, is the same thing. You're going to have your neutral, your return line. You have your hot side. This is your live side. It's the black cable. Then you have your standard earth ground for your grounding of your electrical. You'll find this type of cable in a extension cord electrical cables. And because it's the flexible, these can bend and you can twist, and they're not a hard copper, like they're not as soft like the 14 gauge. This is a pretty hard to bend, but it's pretty soft to bend too. But you gotta make sure when you're bending it, you don't kink it and stuff like that. Great Allen tool to have is a good outlet tester here. This is just testing the purity of your outlets as well. This one here has a open open ground, open neutral, open hot, reverse hot and ground, reverse hot and neutral, and the correct way will be the two little lights. It will be the correct way to plug stuff in. If you have a reverse, you would have two lights like this. Won't be a good way to have it. But you can also use a neutral is a black is a hot. You just have to make sure you put a piece of tape around it, electrical tape. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the crappy style plugs here. Now this is a pretty crappy one. It's all metal. It's not a very good outlet to use. Again, you get very confused. This one would be your ground, but which one will be the hot neutral? Let's go and pop this out of the protective sleeve here. You see, this is what I will not recommend buying. I don't recommend using the ones that have these terminal screws like this because they're very annoying. You see, one side is going to be the brass side, that would be your hot side. One side would be your silver screw, that would be this side, on this side of the outlet. Then the green screw would be the top screw. And this is a pretty insulated piece of metal. It's a metal over top of a piece of plastic on the inside, but these are the plugs I highly recommend to stay away from. They're pretty good for certain things, but once you start yanking on your cable or your cable and stuff like that, you can pull out your cables very easily. I don't like these ones that much. This is a non-good style, but it's also the same issue. It also kind of very confusing. It has your ground. One will be your hot and neutral. Again, this is one I would recommend stay away from. Again, because these wires, again, the clamp on the wire, I don't like these ones that just smash to the wires. These are okay, but again, the way this works is you clamp the wire on. This has a salt based crimp on the wire versus this one. It just has a rubber stopper kind of thing inside of it. I would recommend stay away from those. Can also stay away from these too. The ones I really like the most is the ones that actually show you which one's the ground, which one's the hot, and which one's the neutral. And the actual color coder for you. This is actually a locking one. This is a 20 amps twist lock plug. It is a lot heavier built and also for heavier gauge wires. I really like this one a lot because you can also crimp in wires with this and you can screw the wires down. One thing I really like about this one is look at the size of the beef on this guy here, guys. There's your ground, there's your neutral, there's your hot. Again, the way this one works, because you don't have to worry about twisting the wires, you push the wires in and you can actually crimp the wire right directly to the terminal block and it won't pull out very easily like some of the crappy ones can do that as well. Now, I had this a long time. Just a pretty good outlet to use for higher amp circuit. But these both are 15 amp circuit or 15 amp plugs. They are a okay plug to use. Some of them are pretty good to use, some of them are pretty crappy to use. I don't recommend staying away from the metal ones. I don't recommend buying the plastic ones because the plastic ones are isolated, non-conductive, like the metal one can be conductive, but I say he did pretty good on the inside to protect the metal from the hot line touching the metal itself. I want to kind of like show you what I have built over the years. It was one of my outlets I have built a long time ago. like last year, like this last year ago. This is two 15 amp outlets, standard, standard, just a standard style, you know, where you can plug a 15 amp, plug inside of it, it'll just work just fine. Like my tester and stuff, I can test it. And by the way, I'm also using a 12-2 gauge wire instead of the thinner 14 gauge wire, because you want to have good, good wire. If you're gonna be pulling a lot of amps off of your solid gauge wire, I'd recommend going with a higher gauge, like this 12-2. I don't recommend using the I don't recommend using your stranded copper, but you can also use that if you want a bit more flexibility instead of using the thick copper. And again, I also have same thing, ground, neutral, and hot on this side. You see, this is a pretty tough cable. It's not as flexible. This is kind of like an indoor kind of cable use. You can use this behind your walls and stuff like that. It worked just fine. By the way, this is a metal box. This is not a plastic box. By the way, this has to be grounded for the plug to able to work. For the grounding to able to work properly. Without the ground, you are going to, if a hot would touch the box, you can also get electrocuted on that kind of stuff as well. Always remember, make sure you put your grounds together. Make sure you put your neutral and your hots together on each of the terminals of the screws. Make sure you put them the correct way. And also, if you're going to be putting a ground, make sure you put a ground here. Your main ground will connect to here. Okay, your main ground and your own ground be connected to the own outlet in the box as well. And by the way, just a standard metal junction box, very high end. Again, I also have a standard wire holder to hold the wire into place, or the wire does not move out of place. Let's go ahead and back into my favorite electrical books. Well, I'm going to show you some of the electrical stuff in this book, and I will switch back to the Stanley book. Let's go ahead and show you what this one does. This one will tell you all sorts of home use, electrical uses for different things. Now this book, remember, this book's kind of outdated by now, but this book always helps to kind of show you what everything kind of does. By the way, here we have a neutral, and we have a sink, okay? Here we have a sink, the sink flows in, the drain goes back out. Same thing when you got your hot coming into your switch, then it goes in, goes through the light bulb, and it goes back out to the neutral. And that's pretty good. That's your output line. That's your output line. That's to take away the energy. This is your input line. Well, again, this book is a very handy book to show you guys some of the pages inside of the book. Here we have your mains. That's your standard main breaker system. We got three-way switches, outlets, and light bulbs, and that kind of stuff. But this, will help you on some of the things. Okay, here we have a connected grounded outlet. See what happens if the outlet comes, hot comes loose and touches the metal box. It has somewhere for the ground to go, by the way, and stuff like that. This I will eventually sit down with you guys and show you the difference of this whole entire book. It has about 300 and some odd pages in this book alone. It's kind of pretty big. Here we go. This is one of my favorite sides. 21 is the page on this one I really like the most. It tells you the wire codes, the color codes. White is neutral, black is hot, red is hot. You can also use a white as a black. You just gotta put a piece of tape on it. Green and bell copper, and your stranded copper wire. 18 gauge, 22 gauge, doorbell wire, lamp wire, 16 gauge, 14 gauge, 12 gauge, 10 gauge, 8 gauge, and 6 gauge wire. Well, again, this whole book will kind of just show you everything on what you need for electrical home use. Again, if you want to update your electrical book, again, I would recommend getting a upgraded and updated electrical book system. This just tells you the same thing. It tells you the same kind of stuff that's inside my own book. This is just the updated one. Here we got circuit breakers, how to turn the circuit breakers on and off. You know, this is the kind of stuff you guys gotta realize when you are going to get into electrical. Make sure you buy a book or you buy some type of something for you can actually learn electrical. I've been doing electrical for many years. I'm pretty good at it. It's very nice to do electrical on my own, but by the way, I am not a certified electrician. This is something I do as a hobby. It can also be dangerous, and it also can be deadly if you are not careful on what you guys are doing with your electrical system. Here we have all sorts of different metal junction boxes, all sorts of different ones. They all have to be grounded because they are metal. And here's the newer stuff today, is the plastic stuff. The plastic stuff don't need to be grounded because it's just an isolated plastic. It doesn't need to be grounded and stuff like that. And this just tells you all sorts of different wire nuts, ways, and all sorts of things. And I will show you guys how this kind of works. I will do a overview of some of these electrical books in different videos and stuff like that. I will sit down with you guys and look through the different books and flipping through all the different pages of which one is a good size book to use. But like I said, always correctly make sure when you're all doing your electrical, please be safe. Please turn off the power if you're going to able to work on your electrical. Do not work with your electrical being hot, because once you touch something hot, you have a problem and you might get shocked. Again, this is just a standard screwdriver. This is a cheap screwdriver here. By the way, this is plastic up here. By the way, if you touch this, I'd recommend putting some type of insulation, like a bit of heat shrink tubing or electrical tape around that screwdriver to be able to protect yourself from getting electrocuted and stuff like that. A couple other things you're going to need if you are going to be doing electrical kind of stuff is electrical tape and a good pair of wire strippers and wire cutters. These are pretty worn out. You can see I need a new pair of electrical wires here, or electrical strippers and stuff like that. These are pretty good too. But like I said, I go over some of the tools what you're also going to need. Sometimes you might need a screwdriver, electrical tape kind of stuff, you know. But it's best idea to pay attention to your electrical wiring in most of your electrical systems. Like, this is your return line, this is your neutral cable, this is just a standard neutral. You can also use this as hot, but I would recommend making sure that you don't put black tape on this thinking this is a hot cable. That's your return cable. This is your black cable. This is your hot line. This is your in line. That's your outline. This is your earth ground. By the way, this is also a good opportunity to save your life instead of taking your life. By the way, these do make the old school plugs with just the 2 prongs. I'd recommend getting a 3-prong outlet if you're going to have anything is going to need a type of a ground on it. And this also goes with lamps and light fixtures and all sorts of own type of electrical system. By the way, this does come apart. I'm not going to much matter to take it apart for you guys today. It's just the same thing, kind of like I shown you with the 14 gauge wire and the stranded wire and the 12 gauge wire here. Again, I do have some 12 gauge wire left over with own projects to do and stuff like that. But again, it's important to use what you can use the proper way for your electrical system. A good outlet tester, pick out the good outlet, your good outlet prongs, or your outlet, or your mill to connect to your standard outlet female socket hill. By the way, the reason why I like doing all this kind of stuff because it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun for me because I can experiment with all different electrical systems and different electrical things here. But by the way, be very careful on your electrical systems and take care of your equipment. Make sure you turn power off when you're also working on any type of electrical system and stuff like that. But these books do come in handy if you're kind of like stuck on which one's your hot, which one's your neutral, which one's your ground. It's very simple. The books do tell you on how to wire your outlets properly. Like on the front of this one, your hot goes here, your neutral goes there, your ground goes in the bottom, kind of thing. But these books are good good for you guys to understand. I would highly recommend picking up electrical book if you are kind of new to electrical and you want to start out in electrical work and stuff in your house and stuff like that. But it's pretty cool. I mean, electrical can be quite tricky to work with, and electrical can be quite dangerous to work with as well. But always do the proper stuff. Make sure you turn off the breakers, your fuses, or if you have fuse, make sure you turn those off, unscrew them, whatever. These books will tell you whatever you need to say or what you need to look up in your electrical system. Alright guys, I hope you thought this was helpful. Please, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe. Also, please leave a comment. Please like. Please share. Peace out. Bye guys. We'll see you in the next vlog. We'll keep you updated and do a couple of reviews on my electrical books and stuff. Alright, later YouTube.